Hello, Mark. I'm Stanley. I'm your junior student and my student number is SO441036. I'm now going to read an article which is entitled Tristan Harris, How a Handful of Tech Companies Control Billions of Minds Every Day. Reading begins. I want you to imagine working in a control room with a bunch of people, 100 people, 100 over a desk with little dials, and that control room will shape the souls and feelings of billions of people. This might sound like science fiction, but this actually exists right now today. I know because I used to be in one of those control rooms. I was a design exec at Google, where I studied how do you ethically steer people's souls. Because what you don't talk about is how the handful people working a handful of technology companies through their choices will steer what a billion people are thinking today. Because when you pull out your phone and they decide how this work or what's on the need, it's scheduling little blocks of the time in our minds. If you see a notification, it schedules you to have thoughts that maybe you didn't intend to have. If you swipe over a notification, it schedules you into spending a little bit of time getting sucked into something that you didn't intend to get sucked into. When you talk about the technology, we tend to talk about it as the blue sky opportunity. You go any direction and I want to go serious for a moment and tell you what's going in a because specific direction. Because it's not evolving randomly. There's a hidden goal driving the direction of all the technology we make, and the goal is the race for our attention. Because every news-cited election politicians, games, even meditation apps have to compete for one thing, which is our attention, and there's only so much of it. And the best way to get people's attention is to know about how someone's mind works. And there's a whole bunch of persuasive techniques that I learned in college that a lab called the persuasive technology lab to get people's attention. A simple example is YouTube. YouTube wants to maximize how much time you spend. And so what do you do? How do you do? They autoplay the next video. It's less said work really well. It's getting a little bit more of people's time. Oh, it's Netflix. They look at that and say, well, it's shrinking my mixed market share. So I'm going to autoplay the next episode. But then if you're Facebook, you say, oh, they're shrinking all my market share. So now I have to autoplay all the videos in the newsfeed before waiting for you to click play. So the internet is not evolving at random. The reason it feels like it's sucking us in a way, it is because of its race for attention. We know where it is going. Technology is not neutral. It becomes this race to the bottom of the brain sitting. Who can go lower to get it? Let me give you an example of Snapchat. If you didn't know, Snapchat is the number of one of ways that teenagers in the United States communicate. So if you're like me, and you send text message to communicate, Snapchat is there for teenagers. And there's like 100 million of them that use it. And they invented a feature called Snapchat, which shows the number of days in a row that two people have communicated with each other. In other words, what they just did is they give two people something they don't want to lose. Because if you're a teenager and you have 150 days in a row, you don't want that to go away. And to think of the little blocks of time that schedules in kids' minds. This isn't theoretical. When kids go on vacation, it's been shown that they give their password to up to 5 other friends to keep their Snapchat going, even when they can do it. And they have like 30 of these things, and so they have to game so taking photos, just pictures or words, or stealing just to get through their day. So it's not even like they're having a real conversation. We have attention to think about this as, oh, they're just going Snapchat that way we used to gossip on the telephone. It's probably okay. Well, what is this message is that in the 1960s, when you're just gossiping on the telephone, there wasn't 100 engineers on the other side of the screen who know exactly your psychology work and orchestrated you into a double bond with each other. Now, if this is making you feel a little bit of outrage, notice that our soul just can't over you. Outrage is really good way also to getting your attention because we don't choose outrage. It happens to us, and if you're the Facebook newsfeed, really good one to or not, will actually benefit when there's outrage because outrage doesn't just schedule a reaction in emotion time, space for you. We want to share the outrage with other people, so we just hit share and say, "Can you believe the thing that they say?" And so outrage works really well in getting attention. Such as if Facebook had a choice between showing you outrage feed and a clean news feed. They will want to show you the outrage feed not because someone consciously choose that, but because they work better to getting your attention. And the newsfeed controller is not accountable for us. It's only accountable for maximizing attention. It's also accountable because of the business model of advertising. For everybody who can play the most to actually walk into the control room and say, "That girl over there, I want you to schedule this thought into their minds," so you can target. You can precisely target a light directly to people who are the most susceptible. And because of it is profitable, it's only going to get worse. So I'm here today because the cause of you so obvious. I don't know a more urgent problem than this, because this problem is underneath all other problems. It's not just taking away our agency to spend our attention and live and lives that we want. It's changing the ways that we have our conversations. It's changing our democracy and change the ability to have the conversations and relationships we want with each other. And it affect anybody, because a billion people have one of these in their pocket. So how do we fix this? We need to make three critical changes to technology and to our society. The first is we need to acknowledge that we are persuadable. Once you start understanding that your mind can be scheduled into having little thoughts or little blocks of time you didn't choose, when we want to use this understanding and protect against the way that happens, I think we need to see ourselves fundamentally in a new way. It's almost like a new period of human history, like the Enlightenment, but almost a kind of silver enlightenment. And we can be persuaded, and there might be something we want to protect. The second is we need new models and accountability system so that as the world gets better and more persuasive over time, because it's only going to get more persuasive, then the people in those control rooms are accountable and transparent to what we want. The only form of theoretical persuasion that exists is when the goals of the persuader are aligned with the goals of the persuadee, and that involves questioning big things like the business model of advertising. Lastly, we need to design renunciates, because once you have the view of human nature, then you can steer the timeless of a billion people. Just imagine there's people who have some desire about what they want to do, and what they want to be thinking, and what they want to be feeling, and how they want to be informed. And we are all just tucked into those of directions. And you have a billion people just tucked into all these different directions. Well, imagine the entire design renaissance that try to orchestrate the exact and the most empowering time. We spend wait for those timeless to happen, and that would involve two things. One would be protecting against the timeless that we don't want to be experiencing. The souls that we wouldn't want to be happening, so that what would happen, not having the thing that sounds anyway. And the second would be empowering us to live our timeline that we want. So let me give you a concrete example. Today, let's say about our friend cancels dinners on you, and you're feeling a little bit lonely, and so what you want to do in the moment? You open up Facebook, and in that moment, the designers in the control room want you to schedule exactly one thing, which is to maximize how much time you spend on the screen. Now, instead, imagine if those designers created a different timeline that was the easiest way, using all of their data, to actually help you get out with the people that you care about. Just think, alleviating all loneliness in society. If there was a timeline that Facebook wanted to make possible for people, or imagine a different conversation. Let's say you wanted to post something super controversial on Facebook, which is really important thing to be able to do, to talk about conversational topics. And right now, when you're the big comment box, it's almost asking you, what key do you want to type? In other words, it's scheduling a little timeline of things you're going to continue to do on the screen. And imagine instead that there was another button just saying, what would be the most time you want to spend for you? And you click pause at dinner. And right there underneath the item is said, who wants to RSVP for the dinner? And so you'd still have a conversation about something controversial, but you'd have been having it in the most important place on your timeline, which would be a home that night, with a bunch of friends over to talk about this. So imagine you're running like a funnel replace on all of the timelines that are currently steering upward toward more and more screen time, persuasively and replacing all those timelines with what you want to do in your life. It doesn't have to be this way. Instead of handicapping our attention, imagine if we use all of the data and all of the power and its new of human nature to give us a superhuman ability to focus and Superman ability to put our attention to what we care about, and a Superman ability to have the conversations that we need to have for democracy. The most complex challenges in the world requires not just us to use our attention individually. They require us to use our attention and coordinate with each other. Climate change is going to require that a lot of people are being able to coordinate their attention in the most empowering way together. Imagine creating a Superman ability to do that. Sometimes the world's most precise and important problems are not these hypothetical future things that we could create in the future. Sometimes the most pressing problems are ones that are right underneath our noses. The thing that are already directing a million people's thoughts. And maybe instead of getting excited about the new augmented reality and virtual reality and those cool things that could happen, which are going to be susceptible to the same race for attention, it could fix the race for attention on the thing that's already in a billion people's pockets. Maybe instead of getting excited about the most exciting new cool fancy education apps, we could fix the way kids' minds are getting manipulated into sending empty message back and forth. Maybe instead of worrying about the hypothetical future runaway artificial intelligences maxifying for one goal, we could solve the runaway artificial intelligence that already exists right now, which are this newsfeed maximizing for one thing. It's almost like instead of running away to colonize a new planet, we could fix the one that we're already on. About solving this problem is critical infrastructure for solving every other problem. There's nothing in your life or in our collective problems that does not require our ability to put our attention where we care about. At the end of our lives, all we have in our attention and our time. What would be time we spend for ours? Thank you of us. Chris Anderson. Tristan, thank you. Hey, stayed up here sick. First of all, thank you. I know we asked you to do the talk pretty short notice. You do have quite a stressful week getting this thing together. So thank you. Some people listening might say, what do you complain about in addiction? And all these people doing such stuff, for them is actually interesting. All these design directions have built their content that is fantastically interesting. And what's most interesting is ever has been. And what's wrong with that? I think it's really interesting one way to see this if you're just due to. For example, you want to always show the most interesting next video. You want to get better and better at suggesting at the next video. But even if you could propose a perfect next video that everyone will want to watch, it would just be better and better at keeping you hooked on the screen. So what's missing in the equation is figuring out what your boundaries would be. You would want you to know something about, say, falling asleep. The CEO Netflix version is say, our biggest competitor are Facebook, YouTube, and sleep. And so what we need to recognize is that the human artificers is limited and that we have to certain boundaries for dimensions of our lives and we want to be honored and respected. And technology could help do that with us. I mean, would you have a case of the part of the problem that is that we've got a naive model of human nature? So much of this is justified in terms of human preference. Where we've got these authorities that do an amazing job of automatizing for human preference. But which preference? These are preferences of things that we really care about when we think about them versus the preferences of what we just instinctively click on. If you could implement a more natural view of human nature in any design, what would that be a step forward? I mean, I think right now is as if of all our technology is basically only asking your laser brain what's the best way to just impulsively get you to do the next tennis thing with your time, instead of asking you in your life when you would be most times well spent for you. What would be the perfect timeline that might include something later? Would be time we spend for here a tech in your last day here. So if Facebook and people and Google everyone say to first, hey, would you like to optimize for your replacement brand on your laser brand you choose? That would be one way, yes. You say persuadability. That's an interesting word to me because to me there's two different types of persuadability. There's the persuadability there's the trying right now of reason and thinking and making an argument. But I think you're most talking about different kind, a more vertical type of persuadability, of being persuaded without even knowing that you're thinking. The reason I care about this problem so much is I studied at a lab called the Persuasive Technology Lab at Stanford that taught students how to recognize exactly these techniques. These conferences and workshops that teach people all these covert ways to getting people's attention and orchestrating people's lives. It's because most people don't know that exists that the conversation is so important. Tristan, you and I both know so many people from all these companies, and are actually many here in the room. So I don't know about you, but my experience of them is that there is no shortage of good intent. People want a better world. They really want it. And I don't think anything you're saying is that these are evil people. It's a system that there's this unintended consequences that have really got out of control of this race for attention. It is a classic race to the bottom when you have to get attention, and it's so tense. The only way to get more is to go lower and the brainstem, to go lower into the outrage, to get lower into emotion, to get lower into the laser brain. Well, thank you very much for helping us all get little but wiser about this. Harry, thank you. Thank you very much. Pause. And my reading also ends up here, and thank you for listening.